welcome to Mo's World, the baseball podcast. We're excited to bring you our latest episode, and your feedback is important to us. So please feel free to share your comments. If you enjoy the podcast, spread the word to your friends. In our 8th episode of Season 2, unfortunately, we want to take a look at perhaps issues of the next collective bargaining agreement. I know it may be a bit early, but something to prepare you for because I don't have good feelings about this one. Now, the current CBA expires on December 1st, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Now, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred he's grappling with a dramatic change in media rights that is likely to alter the way the league does business and also set stage for some nasty negotiations with the players when the current CBA expires. Now, the dividing lines are already forming ahead of the 2026 expiration of Major League Baseball's collective bargaining agreement. And the differences are not what you think. The players and owners are at odds over a number of issues. But the owners of the big market teams and smaller market teams are not seeing eye to eye. And I'm concerned over that because we're talking billions of dollars here. So what's going to happen? Well, the big issues, obviously, it's revenue sharing, right? Every year we hear about revenue sharing. But now the local television rights, it's a key motivation for owners. The future of local television rights is a huge item. Likely by the end of 2025, about 2/3 of Major League Baseball will have taken a pay cut in rights fees at some point in the last 3 seasons, or not received any at all. Now, Manfred wants to radically change how teams share their revenues, pooling all local TV money together while reducing or eliminating what teams share from other streams. Wow, this is not going to happen. Now, the large market teams do not want to share more of their valuable TV revenues, period. And it shouldn't stop the owners from throwing almost $1.4 billion in contracts to the last 2 players. So we're going to see a lot of shit happen with that. Salary cap. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred has expressed an interest in salary cap. Now, they've already said this out loud already. So you know how the players feel about this. So this is going to cause a big conflict already. It's like everybody's preparing each other for doomsday, Now, back to the regional sports network thing. Now, we've talked about this in length in the past year, and it's still confusing. In today's media environment, television networks have been facing an accelerated rate of cord cutting. In recent years, consumers are opting for streaming services. Now, despite maintaining stable ratings, regional sports networks, RSNs, they felt the big shift away from cable. Chief among these RSNs is Diamond Sports Group, and that's the parent company of the FanDuel Sports, formerly known as Bally Sports, which just 2 years ago carried the rights to nearly half of MLB clubs. In March 2023, Diamond filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and that's where all the crap hit the fan, right? Now, also, we're going to see increased revenue sharing and some kind of growing centralized revenues. The dramatic change here in the media landscape is opening up the discussion of revenue sharing. For Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, he's going from concept to increasing the amount of revenue sharing from large revenue clubs to lower with 2 difficulties. One is getting the big revenue makers to increase revenues to lower generating clubs. I don't know how he's going to do that. The other challenge is revenue sharing as part of the collective bargaining agreement with the players. With the likes of Steve Cohen of the Mets driving the free agent upward dramatically, there will assuredly be a discussion as to whether increasing revenues to the smaller generating ones will have any tangible effects. After all, There's been more than one grievance filed against several clubs claiming they have not used those funds to make Major League Baseball, teams competitive. So many teams are tanking it seems like, right? So, one thing that the league can do unilaterally is to grow centralized revenues through sponsorships and other avenues. While the league has not really said whether, what it feels like on this, corporate naming rights for a jewel event is an idea, right? I mean, would it really surprise anyone to see the postseason series, something like this, the American League Championship sponsored by Nabisco, whatever, pick your favorite corporate team of choice there. Now, addressing attendance. What about attendance, too? Now, Major League Baseball has seen attendance declines or stagnation. In 2015, attendance was 72.8 million. Last year, it had an attendance of 70.7 million. It's fluctuated from year to year. Now, ticket revenue, that's a different story. Now, it's increased. In 2015, the revenue from tickets was $2.93 billion. And last year, it was $3.41 billion. Now, I mean, don't forget now, it's probably due to increased prices, Now, we've talked about this. You've heard this. Commissioner Manfred has already said a lockout is highly likely to get this deal done. While the owners lock horns, with the players, make no mistake, Major League Baseball will look to get concessions out of the players. As part of the bargaining for the current labor deal that started in 2022, several concepts and other packages were, nearly sacred mechanisms the players earned the right to. In one offer, the owners offered up to dissolve salary arbitration in favor of a whole new system. Players kind of balked at that, so that was before the looming economic pressures of the RSN model. So they may come back to such concepts as that, or ones more radical once the contract expires. Look for owners to again come back with a drastic lowering of the luxury tax threshold and some counter offer that would seek a soft floor. While this was part of the 2022 bargaining sessions that were rejected, owners may be more willing to hold the line this time around at the expense of losing games. Now, one thing the players could respond to in this type of hardball is the RSN model was in danger, way before the pandemic. The owners knew Bally Sports was in economic trouble last year, and it took on $600 million of cash infusion to hold off bankruptcy. And yet the 2022 offseason has been what was pretty much known as a feeding frenzy of free agent signings. And that's no difference this year. I mean, they put some big contracts out there, right? Now, the league's owners have seen expenses increase as everybody else has. And so what could this do? Put more strain on the minor league owners as Major League Baseball looks to defer cost. So that contract is coming up as well, the minor league contract. So scary subjects coming in the future. I don't know. I definitely see a lockout, and I definitely see some animosity between the large markets and the small markets. So that's going to help the players, I think. Inner strife is always good, right? The path to free agency. What we're seeing now is when free agents are getting a chance at free agency at 30 years old, it's not the same anymore, right? Everybody's talking about, will he age well? How about, Pete Alonso? Will he age well? They're thinking about at about 35 years old, he's going to be shit already, So I think the overhaul of free agency is something that may be harped on. The average age of first-time eligible free agents is about 30 years old, which we know both lifelong baseball scouts and casual fans, I think we both agree that that's right around the point when most players' skills begin to decline, some rapidly. The bottom line is simple. Players want a quicker path to free agency so they can reap the benefits of an open market for their services. It sounds like my season 1, episode 20, where we talked about free agents, and that might be a worth listen to on my proposal for a bonus program for early free agent signing. I think this would help create some excitement or urgency in the process of free agency. Now, team payroll expenditures. Now, players will certainly demand more money, right? Everybody wants more money, whether you're a multi-million-dollar player, or everybody else like that's listening, struggling to make a difference, right? Everybody's going to push back from the ownership due to different cities and market sizes. Simply put, the Yankees and Dodgers do not face the same type of financial constraints as the Pirates and Rays, who play in much smaller market cities. But you know what? It doesn't help much to even acquire sympathy for the Pirates and Rays because they both have shit ownership. They're cheap bastards. They don't want to spend the money to put the teams on there. They're getting their money. They're happy with their vacations, it seems like, and they're happy that teams can be a little competitive. I don't know. I don't buy that. The competitive market for free agent remains constrained to a limited number of organizations with financial power. Now, however, a recent league proposal has, they want to institute a salary floor, which would force smaller market teams to assume a more aggressive role in free agency. That indicates that owners may be willing to compromise on this issue. The catch is that implementing a salary floor that may require a tweak to the current revenue sharing model by divesting more national television revenue to smaller market clubs. And Major League Baseball has not had the history of the NFL when it comes to revenue sharing, because we're not dealing with a national contract. Baseball plays 162 games, We're not playing one game every Sunday and pooling everybody's resources. Other major points of contention may arise in, discussions of the salary structure and the treatment of minor league players, service time, manipulation, an expanded postseason slate, and several on-field rule changes. If one thing is certain, when the owners and players meet at the bargaining table, it's that we are in for some contentious negotiations that will have a lasting impact on America's pastime. Interesting side note here. With the A's playing in Sacramento this year, how will that impact their minor league team? And speaking of minor league teams, what is the most valuable minor league baseball team? The Sacramento River Cats. The AAA affiliate of the San Francisco Giants is one of the minor league baseball's most valuable franchises. It was sold in 2022 to a group that owns the NBA's Sacramento Kings. Everyone has talked about the A's situation, but the River Cats were a top franchise in minor league baseball. They are sacrificing an awful lot here. What will their situation be like for this year and more? I don't really think anyone has addressed this or has cared, Obviously, the schedule of games and when they play has been adjusted, but there will be more fallout from sharing of the park. I hope we get a chance to see how that develops this season. Oh, one random thought. As we move to the end of spring training and the trial of the ABS, no, not automatic braking system, automatic strikes and balls, I find it totally amusing as one aspect is being phased out. Drum roll, please. Yes, it's my pet peeve. Catches, framing, pitches. Oh, crap. A useless farce of analytics is being found with the ABS in play. There's no need for catchers to create a strike when receiving the pitch when the ABS system already knows what a strike is. This I love. I do. I'm so tired of hearing that stupid phrase, he's one of the best framers in the league, and announcers constantly talking about the talents of somebody framing You know, it would annoy the living shit of me if I'm an umpire. I would tap the catcher on the shoulder and say, if you move that fucking mitt one more time to get a strike, I'm gonna smack you in your head. I mean, really, it's a stupid talent. For this alone, I can't wait for the ABS to be implemented on the major league level. Well, that's enough babbling for today. I hope you enjoyed our 8th episode of Season 2 of Mo's World, the baseball podcast. Our regular schedule for releasing new episodes is every Friday, each about 20 minutes long. Thank you for listening, and please spread the word to your friends, as our next episode will be out on Friday, March 21. Opening day is coming, and we look forward to you then. In the meantime, ask yourself, whose world is it? It's Mo's World.